Jason, I'll let you up in a few minutes. We are live. Again, this is being recorded and live streamed. I'm going to go to my studio over here and get away from everybody. So happy TGI Friday, everybody. We're a little early because I want to pin some stuff we're talking to. So I have somebody to come in to entertain us in a few minutes. See, the future would be is when I get like cool drinks or alcohol donated during this time, because I always feel like it's like happy hour time. So if I can get it donated, that would be kind of cool. Thank you, Brent, for volunteering to be my co-host. I appreciate you. So you should be getting the co-host feature. Samantha, I'm going to make you the co-host also. I just invited you. If you might have to update your phone. There was just an update this afternoon, folks. And let's see, where's my settings? Oh, there you are, but you can only, it's now, oh, good. Okay, and apparently there's supposed to be some type of a microphone feature, but I don't see it. And I was just waiting for Alberto to do his hair, and he'll be joining us. Hi, Samantha.
Hello. So I was just cackling there.
Long time no see.
Do his hair.
And Nick must be making a drink right now. It's happy hour.
Oh, that's
So it's happy hour, everybody. Grab out your drinks. And hold on, let me go get our entertainment. We're ready for you.
Who's missing?
Oh, that's Roberto. And right, that's Nick. There's Nick. And give me a few more minutes. I'm waiting. Let me log on.
I was gonna say it's 1500, not 1700. Not quite yet.
LOL.
Well, I was also trying to log into the thing on the desktop client so that I could record audio. So just have another source for it. But it's the desktop client, so
Mr. President's here. I wanted to share, and we are here to speak about Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And we have President Biden in the space with us. And they did the White House did an acclamation of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Hi, Mr. President.
Hey, folks. It's great to be here on Facebook.
You in Twitter Spaces, Mr. President.
What the hell are you talking about? Twitter Spaces? You mean the Space Force?
No, Mr. President.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tanya. It's great to be here on Twitter Spaces. We've got a lot of cyber security issues that we're trying to address, and the way we're going to do it is by building back batter, and the batter is going to be the pancake mix to make better pancakes. Come on, man.
Well, that's a policy I can get behind.
We got a lot of hackers and hacks everywhere. I just hacked the Malarkey, and we're gonna hack away at all the hackers to try to get Twitter back on track on the Amtrak train.
So, Mr. President, can you tell us a little bit more about this cybersecurity awareness declaration you did?
I'm committed to strengthening our Tiger security by hardening our critical infrastructure against Tiger attacks. As you know, the guy, the Tiger Man guy, Tiger King, is vicious, and he was disrupting the ransomware networks. And we're going to work to establish and promote clear rules of the road for all nations in cyberspace. And we will hold people accountable that threaten our security.
That's wonderful. And I noticed there's an part of the infrastructure bill in there.
It's true. We've got the big infrastructure. We're going to get the Amtrak train back on track, and also invest in the 5G technology. Because right now the LG phones are not working.
Yeah, aren't they gonna be gone soon?
Come on, man. Give me a break. I was just eating ice cream, and my ice cream got hacked by my vice president. She was eating my ice cream. I said, get away, man. And that's why we need to protect our cyber security even more. And I'm proud to do that. And I'm proud to make this October the cybersecurity month, so we can build back better. I mean fatter. I mean fatter.
So,
Oh dear. Sorry. Chuckle.
Mr. President, what if the other president was in office? What do you think he'd be thinking of during this month?
He'd probably be thinking about how to secure his golf game. That's all he does is play golf. Come on, man. Give me a break. He might even be here. Donald, you have anything to say about this? Excuse me. I actually know more about cybersecurity than anyone. Believe me, okay? You know, they say I'm the most secure president in the history of security. And my relationship with Rocket Man was fantastic, okay? A lot better than yours, Sleepy Joe. Come on, Dad. Give me a break. I don't have any relationship with Kim Jong-un, but we got to secure ourselves from the networks. Come on, man. God bless you all, and happy Tiger Security Month.
We'll be
Thank you,
sure.
Mr. President.
Month for you too.
Yeah. Y'all take care. Play a game of golf against each other. See who plays better.
It's impossible to beat Donald because he cheats. Excuse me. That's fake news. I don't cheat. Okay.
Just use a strong password, Mr. President. I know you need an IQ of what's the IQ required to hack you?
You know about my password?
No. Well, if you can
Yeah,
tell
what's
me
your
your
password,
password.
sir?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my password's malarkey, and with the capital M.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. That it was the. You are really aware of security. Thank you very much. You can trust me that I won't disclose that information.
Yep,
Yeah.
we'll add this to our word list, and that'll help secure it very well.
Yeah,
Malarkey.
I
Yeah.
will. I will tweet that. I will make a tweet with that so everybody is aware of that and protect that password as well.
That's great. And Don, what's your password? Mine is nasty. NASTY. Nasty.
With no numbers.
No numbers, no capitals.
Okay.
You know, I like my passwords weak.
Is that your password for all your accounts, Mr. Trump?
All of mine, except on Twitter, it's actually Rosie.
Okay. Thank you. Don't worry. Your information is secure here.
Well, that's
Is
great to know.
that spelled with an IE or a Y?
I.e., just like Rosie O'Donnell, nasty woman.
Got it.
Well,
Thank you.
now that we're talking about this and you are so open and you have no problems, what's your credit card number and expiration date and the security code, Mr. President?
Well, you know, we're looking into that very quickly and very easily. You know, I gave it to Kim Jong Un, so I got to call him up first to get it.
I was going to say, Alberto, my friend Bob here, I gave him some information. He's got that number for you. I'll send it over to you on a back channel.
Okay, thank you. But we can tweet that. I mean, there's no problem. We can order a round of beers invited by Mr. President.
Hey, man, come on, give me a break. My
Oh, come
password
on. Money is not an issue for you, Mr. President. Come on.
Hey, man, my password on. You need my Tinder password?
I need all your password, please. If you could please give that to me, I would be grateful. Please.
No problem. I'll send.
That,
I'll have Kamala send it to you.
okay, send me a direct message with all of that, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Build back better. Take the vaccine.
Are those subliminal messages, or is it me?
No, it's fun, creepy whisper time with Grandpa.
Oh my God. Well, it's about that time. It's 5:10. Thank you, Josh. Everybody, can you please give him 100? I appreciate you for popping in, so we can go ahead and start our chat. Let's give him 100. Come on, folks, give him 100. Thank you so much, Josh. Send me the invite for your other. You're hosting an event yourself, right? Oh, where are you going to be this weekend, Josh?
Me? Oh well, I'm on here and Clubhouse. I'm doing a lot of skits, so just stay tuned to my Twitter. I'm posting a lot of videos, and if anyone wants a voice message from Joe Biden or Trump or Bernie Sanders, just send me a DM. Send you a custom voice message with my password.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, Josh. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to my Fun Friday. This Friday, I would like to discuss a little bit about cybersecurity. But it happens to be Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And my co-host, Brent, and I will be your guide, as you want to say. And let me go ahead and introduce some of my friends here. I have my good friend Samantha. She goes by Dorkin Beauty 1. She's here with us. And also, as you all know, who does not know Alberto Daniel Hill. He's the first hacker sent to prison in Uruguay. So we'll chat with him. And then our incredible friend, Nick, known as Box Swapper, astronautical engineer, trailer park network security manager. You know, when I first read your bio, Nick, I was like, oh, does he live in a trailer park? That's so cool. So welcome, everybody. And I want to say hi to Adam, who is also in the space, and my good friend Tim, who I haven't seen all day. Welcome. And Jason, who has been here. Thank you very much. And Sajad, welcome. And also Legion, he and I have been like running into each other in different spaces. And DC, welcome. And also, I think all my friends are here. Larissa is in the space, and also Sarah. Hi, Sarah. We were just in the space again. And Brax, welcome to my Fun Friday. And this week's episode is going to be about Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So let's just go ahead and jump into this. I want to kind of like laugh about this because remember, the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, right? And I keep saying that. So now that you have the 31 day of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so what did our true love give it to us? So I'm gonna go ahead and start. Let's talk about this. I know when Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp went down, it was just incredible. But what else has been going on? Alberto, why don't you start first? And but you know what? Why don't I have everybody introduce themselves and what they do? I'll start with Samantha. Samantha?
Hi, guys. I'm Samantha. I was a victim of some savage cybercrime about 6 years ago, which launched me into the cybersecurity world. And now I'm just obsessed with it. And I just want to educate everybody. Alberto?
Yes, you want to educate everybody. Are you okay, Samantha? Your voice is like, are you tired?
Oh, I've done way too much talking today. I'm sorry if I'm croaky.
Okay. No, well, my name is Alberto. Tonya introduced me as the first hacker sent to prison in Uruguay. I don't know if that's a feature or what. Yeah, I have been working in cybersecurity for about 20 years. And like Samantha, I am here willing to help others, creating awareness about the importance and relevance of cybersecurity nowadays. And well, we are hosting spaces about that, trying to help people. We are here to help everybody. So that's me, Nick.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nicholas Childs. I'm known as Box Swapper in a lot of circles. I'm a DEF CON speaker, aerospace engineer who kind of fell his way into cybersecurity because I found out it was kind of fun. Started on the spaces here with Alberto and Samantha, as well as a few other in here, Adam and DC. We found a space where we could help people out just in cybersecurity questions. And we've come to the conclusion, a lot of this through several discussions, we always seem to come back to the same thing, that the most important part of our infrastructure and defense of that infrastructure is individual security. So we've been working on ways to help people with individual security. And that's how I ended up in this ragtag group.
But you love it.
Oh, yeah. Like, this is my hobby. I absolutely love it.
This is such a great community too, by the way. I learned so much actually. So anything that we need to know about today's cybersecurity issue? I mean, I think every day has been something was happening, and I think Samantha's always giving us the news. Tell us. Samantha.
Yeah, I haven't found any interesting news of the day. Actually, unfortunately, I didn't have much time to scroll through the pages. But obviously, we've had the very 3 significant days. Yesterday was Twitch. The day before was Twitter, and then obviously the one that everybody knows about is Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So who knows? Oh no, we had the Apache servers as well, didn't we? So that was pretty, but that's probably a bit heavy for general consumption. But essentially, social media has been in trouble this week, that's for sure, and it clearly affects people in different ways. And you can see how it's a lifeline for many in many countries, because they were all, pulling their hair out, not knowing what to do. They couldn't communicate, and that's obviously very sad. But we do need to learn some lessons about some of these social media companies, I believe.
Well, I was going to say, don't forget, one significant one was October 4th. Motherboard Vice released that thing about the company that routes billions of text messages.
Yes, of course.
Says it was hacked. So that's a pretty big one too.
And that's evolving now, actually. I haven't forgotten about that one, but yeah, I've seen a few significant individuals in cyber picking that up now, thank goodness, because it was a bit heavy, the news, for a few days, wasn't it? There's so much going on, it was difficult to take it all in.
And the thing is that we have no news, like in the stock market, no news means bad news. We don't know what's going on, but surely something very serious things going on, and we are not aware of that. Hopefully, we will know in the future, but things are going on, that's for sure. That there are no news doesn't mean nothing is happening. Here in Uruguay, for example, we also have an interesting week. Our telco was hacked, and well, many people were unable to use their cell phones. It was something very complicated, and well, the main problem is that for landlines and internet access via fiber to the home, we have a monopoly, so we don't have a company to choose from. And if the telco goes down, every communication goes down in the country. They also have 80% of the market share of cellular connections. So it was a big problem.
Yes, I think we've got a lot more to come out of that, though.
I just came across, we talked about Twitch. I think the other day we were talking about Twitch got hacked too. They got leaked or they got hacked, but apparently at the huge Twitch breach, they leaked some esports toxic cesspool, as they call it. It's gonna. I'm gonna go ahead and share
they
this.
showed off their code and how the money's being split up and a lot of those things. Jason had actually shared the link with me earlier today. I mean, they tell everybody credit cards and that information hasn't been leaked, but I tell anyone in instances like this, that you only know what the investigation, what they know, what the investigators know. So it's never a bad idea to if you can, to burn the credit card, get a new one in the way, and then also change your passwords. I always tell people to change their passwords every time there's a dump. But the information from that has mostly been the code that they have in the site itself. And then, of course, the creators are always getting treated differently depending on who they are. And it's never a fair playing field in that case.
Well, regarding what you mentioned about the credit cards, I will tell a funny story that happened to me. A year ago, I was in a TV show talking about the dark web, and I showed in the cameras how easy it was to clone a credit card in 5 seconds. And well, then I realized viewing the TV show on YouTube that I commit a little mistake. And 5 days after that, I got a phone call from my issuer of the credit card, and they told me, your credit card could be seen, the numbers and information about it on the TV show. So we are going to replace it with a new one. And I said, oh my God, the people from the bank were looking at the TV show and they were able to see that. And well, and they contacted me to replace it, which for me was great. I mean, I was surprised by the bank doing that. It was something that, wow.
That's an incredible mistake to make, though, isn't it?
The thing is that me, as a security a person who works in cybersecurity, it's like wow. We all make mistakes.
It shows how easy it is.
No, we all make mistakes, and I never thought that that they would actually film in very close to the credit card, and I use my real credit card. I might have used any credit expired card, but now I use the credit card that I use the most. And the fact is that those people from the bank are monitoring 24/7 the TV shows. That made no sense for me. How the hell did they notice that? Because they have, maybe they're watching TV all the time because they have nothing else to do, and they identify those problems that way. But it was very unusual, and for me was, wow, thank you, bank.
Well, let's hope we don't all make that mistake twice, because it's one thing giving out your credit card number, isn't it? It's another thing giving it out on YouTube, Alberto. Bless you.
Well, actually, the good thing is that it was my credit card, so everything that could have happened was my responsibility. I wasn't affecting anybody else. That's a good part.
But how many of you guys have ever, like, I always thought WhatsApp was safe, so I wouldn't text the credit card number from my phone, but I text it through WhatsApp. I don't know why I did that. I feel like it didn't matter. if I
Is that
text.
because you're drawn to the fact that it's marketed as being encrypted from end to end?
Yeah, I think that was it. It doesn't matter. I just so I have like all these apps on my phone. Can we talk a little bit about the apps that we download on our phone and the cybersecurity? I want to kind of like change a little bit. We shared about some of the things that has happened, but let's talk a little bit because it's 5:22 and I don't I'm gonna be mindful of the time, but I wanted to talk more about what are some of the things that we should be looking at. Like I'm one of those. You should see my phone. I got so many apps on here, and I literally took the time and went in and not allow them to do certain things. But most people don't know that. They just download the app because they're told to download the app.
That's right. And Apple have made it more recently much more simple to add permissions. I think Android users have more control over their permissions anyway. I have done for a lot longer, but it's one of those things, location data is quite key. That's your GPS. I mean, if you turn some of these things off, it will also help to preserve battery life, as well as stop your data being transmitted over the airwaves, because there's lots of data that's being thrown out over the airwaves anyway, even just when you connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot, or your home Wi-Fi, for example. Apple is collecting all the SSIDs around your location, so your neighbors, whatever signals it picks up, it does collect that data. I think Google are slightly better at that, believe it or not. Actually, I think Apple is the worst one for that. But that it's really just a case of going into your settings and having a fiddle around and seeing what's there and seeing what you can do, but just make the effort to sit and individually go through each one. If you don't use things like Siri or voice assistants, things like that, turn them off.
Oh, well, I hate to be that person, but we've had this discussion a few times too. I'm the doomsayer here, but these apps, they're free to you, but you're the company's product, so them disabling all the tracking stuff takes away from their bottom line. They really don't have any inclination to do so because it removes their bottom line. I mean, it sucks, but that's just kind of the way it is when you're using something without having to pay for it. They make the money anyways on the back end. I tell a lot of people that if you have an app you haven't used, and some of the devices are pretty good about reminding you, hey, you haven't used this app in a while, to uninstall it. Or if you have something you use once every 6 months, don't install it until you need it, and then uninstall it. And it's just one way of removing, the attack surface for one, because if an app is vulnerable, you don't have it on your phone or your device. And the other is that's one less company tracking you. Because that's their income model,
And you never know when the apps will be found to be carrying something that's bad. I mean, just the other day we had an Android situation where I think it was 360 apps that Google removed from the Play Store, because they were essentially doing a whole bunch of stuff that they shouldn't have been doing. I mean, it's very varied, the data that they can or cannot collect, depending on whether they've been they are created by bad actors, but quite often these bad actors will also set themselves up and run apps for a while that are very useful to people, and people download them and they support them. So if you have a problem, you contact them, you get good fast response from people, and they build up a reputation, and sometimes they're actually found to be nefarious at some point in the future. So you just never know. You just have to be really careful, and that's really good advice. I'm always deleting stuff. It's very frustrating for other people because they have to wait for me to re-download something so that I can contact them on Signal or whatever. But it is the less apps the better.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing soon. So it's about 5:26. I also would like to talk a little bit about the passwords. We talked about this quite a bit. I had that problem. I changed my ways after hanging out with Alberto. Having the same password. What's the deal with that?
Ooh, that's
a big no. That's a big no. But unfortunately, I have to tell you, I sometimes use the same password from different services. as I always say, don't do what I do because I'm a mess. No, just kidding. I don't. But never use the same password for different services because once a system is hacked and they leak the username and password, they would go to all the services to prove and to test those credentials. And unfortunately, most of the people use the same username and password for everything. So, well, one of the news was that Facebook, there was for sale 1.5 billions of Facebook user names and accounts and information. Well, if that information can be used in order to try to access to Twitter or any other service that you have. So use a strong passwords or passphrase. And well, it's complicated nowadays because we have to remember like 20 million passwords. So it's okay to write them down in a notebook.
That's what I was going to say, actually.
Yeah, actually, write down
don't do it, but do it.
I mean, yeah, write it down in a notebook and have it with you. That's the best way of handling password because it's a big issue. Nowadays we have 20 million passwords.
Well, one way I give people an example to look at this is you go to the website haveibeenpwned.com, PWNED. I apologize. Haveibeenpwned.com, and you put in an email address. So I have an email address that I've had forever, and I put it in there, and there's like 5 sites that I used to log into that it uses that in. And those sites were, bulletin boards. They're just kind of like low vis stuff that nobody really cares about. If I use that same password on that low vis stuff that I use on my Google account, somebody who leverages that, they find my username and password and they go, hey, this person's logged in here. This is a Gmail account. I wonder if this is the same password. If I use that same key for all those different services, then I'm wide open, because those, especially the low hanging fruit, when you've got some guy running his own bulletin board and you're a member of that and you're using the same password, you got to remember that somebody has access to that probably shouldn't, especially if it's just some little one off on the side. And the other thing, I'm real big on using password managers. I know Apple has the stuff built in. There's all sorts of them out there. I don't push one more than the other. I use Bitwarden because I can set up my own server to share it between my devices. That's because I don't trust anybody, and it's just me. But Bitwarden works out really well for me. I just have to remember one thing, and I can regenerate passwords. I think KeyPass is another good one that works really well. One thing that'll do is you can also put a scheduler on those to where every 90 days it'll give you a reminder to reset your password if you need to. I'm real big on that. And just remember, if you're using your kids' names, your dog's name, birth dates, and things like that, those are easily found. A hacker can use a program called Wordsmith, where you put in a local area, like a local geographic area, and it takes the local football teams, the local major religion, and then you put in a person's personal stuff, and it'll make an entire word list of passwords based on that, because a lot of people use those. So it's a good idea to generate a random one, and I use Bitwarden and generate stuff. I've been in situations where I've shown somebody my password because I know they're not going to remember a 24 character with mixed characters all through there. I'm like, yeah, this is my Gmail password. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, you can't memorize it by looking at it, and then I just go and change it again. But there's a lot of tools out there to help out. You just have to defend that primary password that you use to get into it and treat it with the same due diligence that you would anything else. Although, Alberto, you told me you have a very unique way of dealing with passwords. And,
yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, basically, at one point, I said, okay, I cannot remember all the passwords because everywhere you go, okay, register in order to get this information. Okay, and then I realized, okay, what if I forget about all the passwords and I just go to the service and click on forgot password recovery and just get a new password every time I want to access to the service? I wouldn't have to have a record of my password. I will have to remember them. I just click on forgot password and I will get a new one. So that was for some time my strategy to handle passwords. Just forgot password everywhere and I would get a new one to access. So I think I don't think that was a dumb decision. It was kind of creative and kind of crazy, but it works. It works.
I reset my password all the time. I'm like kind of crazy with my password actually. I had a couple people that wanted to grab the mic. Bradley from Australia. I think it's maybe late for him because it's 5:30. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the morning for him. Oops. I told him that I was gonna do it at 5:30. But as far as Cybersecurity Awareness Month, I think apparently it's been going on for 18 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, according to the White House.
Maybe in the States. I don't think it has been going on for that long in the UK, but I've only become aware of it more in the last maybe 3 years, maybe 4.
But isn't it worldwide? I mean, or I think it's
Yeah, it's worldwide. This is a worldwide awareness.
I'm sure, but I'm not sure that we've been paying as much attention to it then perhaps as we have been for the last few years, because obviously as time, certainly in the last 24 months, we've seen an explosion in cybercrime.
And also, we all used to be under the thought that our mobile phone is safe. I mean, how many of you guys in here? I thought my mobile phone was unbreakable, like no one could hack into it, and
well,
easy, right?
That's not the case.
One thing that I tell all the time is your cell nowadays is like a computer, and you cannot imagine using your computer without an antivirus. So install always an antivirus in your cell. I mean, it's just another application that protects you. And many people say it's just a cellular, and they didn't realize that. Oh, wow, with a antivirus, I can protect my cellular. Wow. People normally do not take for granted that they are using actually a computer in their hands with a smartphone.
And it's now proven that your phone is more of a target than somebody's PC or laptop, because they're so much more accessible. And actually, you can't install an antivirus on an iOS device, only Android. So iOS do have these lockdown mechanisms that prevent the installation of an antivirus, but you can install a VPN, which will encrypt your data from your connection point to, so especially if you're connecting to any public Wi-Fi hotspots of any such thing, they are incredibly dangerous to connect to. So if you get a VPN, I always recommend WireGuard, which is slightly complicated for the average user, but it is by far the best product on the market currently for consumers.
On my iPhone, I use Proton VPN, but it's interesting. Apple iPhones do not, you cannot install antivirus, but you can install things like Pegasus. So you cannot install antivirus, but Pegasus can be installed on your iPhone without your knowledge. It's kind of
that's an Apple thing, isn't it? Because Apple they do have the difference. I don't know if people are aware, but the difference between Apple and Android is that Android is built on open source code. So in other words, it's available in the public domain, and Apple are very private about how they construct their internal source code of a phone and how it works, because they believe that the private method, i.e. it's not in the public domain, so therefore it's not so vulnerable, although that is not the case nowadays.
They also have a more stringent restrictions on their store, like to install apps from.
Yes.
They're more restrictive than Android is. I've seen developers complain about that. They can get something in Android, but it's a lot more difficult to get it on the Apple.
And also you also have a lot of Android apps that are available that aren't in the Google App Store. That's another good bit of advice, actually. Always download from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store directly. Don't install an APK, for example, from just any old site, because you can pretty much guarantee 95% of those apps from external sites not going through the Google Play Store will have some form of malware or tracking or something nasty contained within it, without a shadow of a doubt. They're free on these sites because as I'm sure, I think Nick or Alberto said already, you know, you pay in other ways.
Yeah, and the other thing is I've seen people unlock and jailbreak their devices, and that's somewhere you want to tread carefully. I know years ago when people were doing that with Apple devices, I can't remember which iteration it was of the iPhones, but whenever they did, it opened SSH, which is, you know, like a terminal protocol to get into the back of the device that had root as the login and password was Alpine. And everybody knew it. So there were bots scrolling, you know, going across the internet, and everywhere they found SSH available, they were trying to log in. So there was, I tell people to tread lightly. It's like, okay, yeah, you can install these extra apps and stuff, but I would not do it with my primary device with my real account on it. If you want to test, you know, it's just not safe. It's not worth the risk.
Yeah, as little you can leave from your phone in terms of apps, the better, the safer you will be.
It's so I just want to mention the fact that the cybersecurity awareness month has been around since 2004. I shared it on the Nest, but Nick,
Wow.
you share some info up on the Nest. One is this one right here. It says, okay, everyone, if you have any account on this site listed on this page, change your password, InfoSec data leak, cybersecurity.
Okay,
Tell
so
us about that.
a friend of ours, I'm not going to say his name, but there was a data leak from one of the like hacker websites from one of their forums, and he threw a torrent file out there. So I was like, oh, let's see what's in this thing. And I went through, and at first there was like 15 folders, not a big deal. So I let it go through its entire process, and I found out there was way more than I ever expected. This includes voter registration for many states. So what I did was I just made a list of all the directories. I didn't connect to or mess with any of the databases because some of them are their websites that I'm not supposed to be accessing anyway. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But what I did do was make a list, and I put it in a paste bin so that people can see a list of the websites that have databases of the user info leaked. So if you have an account on those websites, it's a good idea to change your password. Just update it. I had to update 3 or 4 of them off of there myself, and it's a lot of websites, and that's what I posted there. It was just a screenshot of the folders and then a paste bin to show all the websites. Is everyone still there, or am I by myself?
No,
No.
you're not there. No, I'm here. I'm just wanting to know what's the other one you posted. What's the other thing on the Nest?
Okay, so the other thing on the Nest was something that Alberto was talking about. He said that, you know, a lot of sites and servers have probably been leveraged and we don't know it yet. So I posted the DBIR, and the DBIR is it's a report done by Verizon every year, and it's really good for analytics, and you can understand what happened the last year. And it showed that the time to detection is days. It looks like it's 20 to 40% of them is days. And so you're looking at a 3 or 4 day. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's all the way up to 50%. It takes days for them to discover somebody in their network. This is nice because about 3 years ago, the years detection was a lot longer than the rest of them. I think it was about 25 to 30%, but that's gone down a lot because a lot of people have actually been, you know, working hard to make sure they can detect stuff. But still, you're going to have a lag of several days before you figure out that a website that you're working with has been hacked.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Basically, it's alarming at the same time that it takes, I mean, it should detect not immediately, but in less time. But, you know, in Uruguay, I told you the case yesterday, I think. I don't know if you were there, Nick, that the identification agency of Uruguay was hacked, and they realized they were hacked 2 months prior. They discovered that 2 months. So in 2 months, they were being accessed by who knows who, having access to all the information of all the citizens of Uruguay, biometric information, advanced digital signatures, everything. And 2 months. In 2 months, you know, all you can do in 2 months. Well, that's the reality of Uruguay. We are very far behind the rest of the world in cybersecurity.
If it makes you feel any better, if I start talking about ICS and SCADA, everyone's far behind.
I think I think it's a bit on the too techno front, really, isn't it?
Well, that's just the industrial control systems.
We're all
Yeah,
like,
because
what?
that's what,
Yeah,
you know
I
what's
know.
funny? Here in Uruguay, in a company that I won't mention, they had a SCADA system running, and we realized that there was a connection, external connection, that we could not understand because it was supposed to be a Stanco network isolated from everything. And what was happening? The person that was the director of that area wanted to access to the information from his house. So they open an internet connection in order for him to access from his bedroom to for information about the SCADA system that was installed. And that was like, oh my God, these people really need awareness. It was funny and sad at the same time.
Yeah, basically, SCADA is just your supervisory control and data acquisition. Typically, when you have nodes and machinery, that's all your data acquisition pieces. And then supervisory control allows you to open and close valves and things like that. and we've talked about this before. These systems were never designed to be hooked to the internet. But with modern times, everybody wants to hook things up and be able to control them remotely or be able to observe them remotely. But it was never thought through secure-wise. It was just, hey, let's hook it up to the internet because we need to. And then you've got these systems built in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s that just, so it's a pretty, that, like you said, it's not just Uruguay behind here. These systems don't need to be hooked up to the internet.
I was just going to say the best example of what a SCADA system is or similar to was the water breach in, was it Florida? It's about 8 or 9 months ago now, I think.
Yeah, it was in Florida. And what's insane was it wasn't discovered by any system. It was discovered by a technician that was sitting there going, well, that's not right. That's not supposed to be open, or that's not supposed to be at that level.
Did you, let's see, it's about 5:44. Does anyone want to grab the mic and pop up? Oh, Bradley's here. Invite to speak. I wanted him to come up earlier, but I thought he stepped away. But Bradley, go ahead and request. And Adam, did you want to join us? I'll invite you to speak too. I don't know about you guys, but I find cybersecurity so fascinating.
Yeah, it's fascinating. When we start talking about this topic, people kind of get paranoid, and when we said about the things that can happen to them.
Sorry, Ron, just quickly, I had to leave the room for a few minutes. Yeah, it's been great listening to all your tips.
No, go ahead, Bradley.
Yeah, it's been great listening to all tips. I had to duck out of the room for a few minutes. Just in relation to all the apps, what I found really easy, I know I'm backtracking a bit to where you talked earlier, people are overwhelmed with the amount of apps on their phone. The best way to keep that in check, I found, is I used to have 3 or 4 pages of my iPhone was just apps. You'd scroll across and you'd see app after app after app. So what I did is I put them all into folders and then cut it down to 1 page of my iPhone. So basically, if they're finance, if my banking or whatever, I'd have them all in one square folder. If it's news, I'd have all my newspapers in the one folder, etc. That way, then I could do a app hygiene every few weeks. I could go back to each folder and just click on it to see which one I'm actually using. I found that way was a more controlled way of seeing what apps I have on my phone, as opposed to pages and pages of just individual icons of apps. So I just thought I'd add that in just quickly.
Actually, that just reminds me of a new feature. If you're an iOS user and you've upgraded to iOS 15, they have implemented a new feature in, I think it's settings, privacy, and it's right at the bottom of the page, and you can turn it off or on, but you can allow your device to collect app data, background app activity data, which I have found to be very interesting. You may have to install an extension to view it, but it does give you an indication of what's going on in the background when you're not even using the apps and how they're communicating. It might not mean that much to you as a general consumer, but does give you an idea of the voluminous amount of tasks that are going on in the background.
Yeah, your app is always running, right? It's always updating.
Yeah,
running.
no, good point.
Yeah,
You can
I'm a
actually
victim of the
limit
app.
that data as well. If you have a feature to background app activity, you can turn it off, which is supposed to stop a lot of the. I'm sorry, my dog is trying to join in as well. Yeah, you can actually turn on and off background activity. So that should stop activity in the background when you're not using an app, and you can do a low data mode for Wi-Fi, which should also prevent some data being utilized in the background.
I notice a lot of them have they require, like, depending on what you're using them for. There's a lot of microphone and camera. I didn't know that for, like, I don't know. This year I started realizing it. I turned everything off, but a lot of stuff was just turned on without me downloading. Didn't realize that all this was happening.
Yes, that is one of the reasons you should go in and turn things off, actually. And it's silly things as well, just to, if you are experiencing a battery loss because your device is getting a little bit old, all of these things are continually using your battery, and sometimes your data. If you're just on mobile data, they will be consuming that as well. So if you're mindful, because you're on a plan of how much data you use every month, it can really help turning a lot of these things off.
Hey Adam, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining. Long time no see.
A long time no see. Great to see everyone. And another thing I think that we could do is added depending on whether you're using Android or Apple, is clearing out that cache, that extra information that's just sitting there waiting to be collected. And some people clear it out every day. The other thing I would, at the most basic level, disconnect your internet, your Wi-Fi, your router every single day. And I'm talking about literally unplug it. Some people say once a week, once a month, depending on what you are. So at least you're cutting the connection if someone does have a connection to your device, whether it be a computer or phone. I remember a picture, a long time ago taken, and I'll bring it up because, as we all know, Facebook was that brought down this recently, and we can all remember that famous picture that of Mark Zuckerberg. I was thinking of him, and behind him was his laptop with tape over his camera. Well, people don't put tape over their phones, the cameras of their phones. It's a lot harder to do, to cover it up. But that's literally what he was doing. So he was actually using, a device, like an extra, like a foolproof, like a secondary device. So that's something else that can be thought of. There are devices that you can purchase for a couple bucks.
That is good advice, actually.
that allow you to do that. And
the cameras can be used on all your devices to record you, both your sound and the visual aspects. And yeah, I have all mine covered as well. But I think, although it's becoming increasingly more common, it's like we all used to look at the Chinese wearing their masks a few years ago and think, oh my goodness, what are they doing wearing all these masks? And now we're all wearing masks for good reason. And it's the same kind of principle applies with the cameras, because they are so vulnerable to bad actors being able to exploit them. And that was one thing that actually happened to me as well. I actually had Android devices that were taking pictures of me, but this was back in 2015, 2016. At the time, people just didn't believe that that was even possible. So, but it absolutely is. And if you take a device into your bedroom, then definitely you want those cameras. I would personally just not take the device into the bedroom. So,
No, to the bathroom.
Or to the bathroom. No. But I mean, if you care about these things, because I don't want to make everybody paranoid, but it's good to be aware that these things can definitely happen. And the last thing you want is to find yourself and your partner or whatever being recorded in any shape, form or fashion. And there is a spate of that going on in hotels currently, where people are actually going in and planting cameras in hotel rooms, and they're live streaming them to the internet. So if you're going to a hotel, check the most bizarre places just in case there's any cameras in there, because again, that's incredibly infringing on anybody's privacy. I mean, that makes my blood boil. It really does.
Yeah, now I feel better now, because that's what I used to do when I check into a hotel. I would go through everything just to make sure nothing's there that should be there.
That's a good.
Actually, there are devices that are not expensive that detect cameras, radio frequencies, so they can give you a hint, because you can spend all your time in a.
I didn't do that.
Sorry, that was me. Sorry.
Okay, no problem, Samantha. No, the idea of staying in a hotel is not being paranoid, thinking that you're being monitored, but there are devices that you can buy in order to help you identify those kind of things.
Well, I think we should have little handheld devices that we should be able to bring with us all the time, especially when you're traveling.
Definitely.
Yeah, there are the devices that are the size of a cellular that can detect certain cameras and certain things about microphones or frequencies that make you realize that some connection is going on in the place where you are. And
okay.
Well, you can also have a lot of fun with that with SDR, software defined radio, finding stuff. But once you're on a network, you can always scan for devices there too. Yeah, because I did see videos where somebody was in a hotel room and they had a clock, and the clock had a full plastic front face, but it was odd shaped. And they popped it open. They found a camera next to the numbers, because it's clear. It's the tinted glass that you see the numbers through. So there was a camera on the other side of the tinted glass.
Yeah, it's amazing where they can hide them. I can't recommend a 5-minute documentary enough by Stacey Dooley on you can find it on the BBC iPlayer, and it's I can't remember the exact title, but if you type in Stacey Dooley and Korean hotel, I'm sure you'll find it, because there was a really bad spate of this about a year ago going on, and they actually employ people to come round to the hotel rooms to actually search the hotel rooms to remove the cameras. And on this particular incident, they removed 33 cameras from one hotel room, which I just thought was horrific.
That's a really high number.
Yeah, that's why I can't recommend this little document. It's only about 5 or 10 minutes long. But it gives you a real insight to. It's quite scary, because obviously that's an extreme, but it does show you the different places that they found the cameras, and if you're going to a hotel, it's a great piece to watch, because you know where to look.
Well, thank goodness I don't check in hotels.
Yeah, look, South Korea had a massive problem with public toilets. People installing cameras in public toilets, because it's a very marketable commodity on the dark web, having those bathroom cams
That's where it
sold
from,
on
I
the dark
believe.
web. So, yeah.
Oh my God, that would be crazy. Yeah, I live for that too. When I use the bathroom, when I use a public bathroom,
Well, they've invented a toilet now to scan your bum hole. essentially, so you can be identified by it. That is
Okay,
also
that is
I
You know,
know.
they have on the black web, they have websites where it's just streaming from bathrooms all over the world. And it's disgusting. It's really sad.
wow.
Unfortunately, the dark web is full of those things, but we're not talking about anything particularly on the dark web. This is just stuff that is available on the normal web. And I think the toilet stuff in Korea is where it evolved into the hotels, and there is like membership sort of schemes where people can sign up, and as I say, it gets streamed live on the internet. So if you've got a couple in a hotel room or whoever, whatever, doing whatever, people pay some serious money to have access to that. And of course the poor individuals there don't have a clue. It's just so wrong.
Somebody's paying for your experience.
Quite. And
I mean, at least they could give me a cut, right?
oh, Nick, please come on.
So it's
I know
it's
you're
about
just kidding.
5:58. I want to be mindful. Usually we end this with this is a 60-minute chat. So you guys want to have final words?
Well, I kind of wanted to plug something for you, Tanya,
Yes.
because we were going to talk about ID resiliency at one point in time, and I knew we were going to do it here, but it's just because Facebook went down, and the idea of spreading your ID, who you are, because I know there's a lot of people that actually rely on this for a type of income. So we had multiple discussions about ID resiliency, identification resiliency. So the moment something goes down, you have the back channel, and this even includes using different email addresses associated. Well, we'll go into it later, but at one point in time, I know Tanya will put together that space and we'll talk that out. And I did just buy idresiliency.com, so that's mine. Nobody else can have it. But anyways, I wanted to plug that for you because I know we're going to do that in the future at one point in time.
Yes, probably next month, because I feel like we got to be prepared. This whole cybersecurity is such a big deal nowadays that we need to talk about it continuously so people don't get comfortable.
Absolutely. There's still many people to educate. There is a big myth in the consumer community that, oh, I've got nothing to hack, I've got nothing of any value, I haven't got any money, the typical things that people say. Every piece of your data is incredibly valuable. Data is the new oil, and it's important to remember that, because it doesn't matter how much you think that your information is not important. I can guarantee that there is somebody out there that is aggregating all kinds of data surrounding you and your family at this very moment in time, and you just never know when that gets in the wrong hands and it could be used against you.
Yep, you can destroy your family, destroy your lives, rip families apart.
Absolutely.
And I kind of feel like that's going through it right now as well. Can I get some tips?
One of the things that they're weaponizing with personal data currently is that the ransomware gangs are obviously ransomwaring big enterprises, but because there's been a turn of that, they would say no, don't pay the ransomware, whatever it is. But what they're doing now is where the bad guys have been in the network for so long, and they've managed to exfil all sorts of data, personal data about directors or the CEO. They're now actually blackmailing certain individuals within a company and saying, well, if you don't pay, we're going to publish this data about your family, or we're going to do this about, whatever information it may or may not be, that something is particularly damaging to their family or on a personal level. So, it's that extra step that they've taken now, which is really daunting.
I think one thing, that perhaps in the future, Tanya and Alberto and Samantha and Nick, would be great to hear from you guys. Bradley, DC, Jason, everyone, Sarah, Legion, where, do you take your phone? Do you take a router to get looked at? Yes, there's some extreme examples of that you know, of people in the spaces that we've had extreme problems. But like, how does like if, for example, for say someone services a car, how do you service your phone? How do you service your router, etc.? So that perhaps might be a idea for a future episode, and you might already have that on the books.
Well, no,
But
I mean, that's brilliant, Adam, because that is the burning question. That there isn't really anywhere that supplies that service, and I know this is something I've been harping on about. You know, we really need something on a consumer level that is able to, you can literally plug into your router, plug into your device, and it just, you know, expands a program, rips out your logs, and it gets sent somewhere. But of course, that's incredibly difficult to do, I'm told, because of the various laws around privacy and who's going to take that. You know, it is a really complex problem to solve. But we need something, because the governments aren't implementing the laws and guidelines by any, you know, strength to make the manufacturers responsible for what the software and that they're providing in these devices, which is ultimately the thing that's vulnerable in the first place. So if they're not implementing tougher regulation for those manufacturers, then the consumers need something to be able to identify when there is a problem. If you start to notice odd things about your device, which many people do, you see it often in forums, but you know, most people don't know what to do. They factory reset their phone or their device, and they think that everything's all right. But unfortunately, we're now in this threshold where even that is not a sufficient remediation method, unfortunately, because now we're looking at things like firmware, and that provides a persistent mechanism for a bad actor to get back into your device, even if you factory reset it.
See, that's how I feel when I get my cable box installed. I always think something's up with those guys.
What do you mean?
You remember you get your internet or your cable installed, people come in and install it with the box and everything. If it's not in a perfect condition, I kind of like freak out on it.
Oh, I see. You mean if it's not new?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to buy old stuff.
But for example, in my case, when they were installing the set-top boxes for digital TV cable, I was wondering, these devices made in China, what do they have inside? I mean, maybe they are running some kind of thing that I don't know, and it's just a device to have digital cable. And I wonder, what if the Chinese install something to use that processor for anything else? And well, my final words are, after we talk about these things, people may probably get paranoid. That's not the idea. You have to find a balance between your life and security. Don't be paranoid. Just be aware of the things that are happening, and you can take easy steps in order to be more protected. And that's what we are doing all the time. So don't be paranoid. It just assume that.
I want everyone to be paranoid, Alberto. I fully. I want people to be paranoid. I think they need to be paranoid, because that's by feeling that fear they will actually learn. I know that's perhaps the wrong, but that's my opinion. I think we are living in a time where paranoia is needed.
Well, but that applies.
That's why everybody's smoking weed and getting on online, because you get paranoid with it sometimes.
No, but I mean, you get paranoid also with the financial system. With I mean, you will get paranoid with everything that's happening in society, because everything.
Yeah, but cyber is a massively growing threat space to everybody.
I would say a good explanation would probably be cautious. There's people that don't have cybersecurity baked into their everyday lives, and we talked about this as well, that maybe it needs to be something that's taught in high school, like a baseline. And until then, we can be here to help people out anytime we need to. Not necessarily paranoid. I mean, that's our job, to be paranoid. It's there. I think we need to teach them to be cautious. I think it's teach them understand what risk they're willing to accept. you know, hey, I want to do this, but I know if I install this app, this is the type of information I could be leaking. You know, is it worth the risk? And have them people starting to think like a cybersecurity professional. You know, I'm not saying to go out and get certifications and everything, but just have that baseline thought of everything is based on the risk. You know, is this worth the risk if it gets popped or if it gets hacked? And I think caution is probably just a better way to explain that. I think caution would be very good for people to a user, I say end user, to be able to understand.
And with me learning, you know, how to set up my stuff again, like I'm looking for someone who could walk me through, you know, fixing up my ports and my, you know, my modems and my routers and stuff like that, where it's harder, you know, to get through.
I think that's really key, actually. Just you know, being able to help somebody set up a router to provide that protection is really important, because I think the default configuration on the majority of routers is quite poor currently. So maybe we should do a master class in setting up your router or something.
Also, things you need to do before you set it up.
Yeah, just yeah, exactly.
The checklist.
And just identifying various things on your router that could actually lead to your router being exploited. A very common one is UPnP, which most people have turned on because they want the convenience of being able to connect a device at the touch of a button to their network. However, unfortunately, that particular port, if you think of it as a doorway, you wouldn't leave your front door open all night so anybody could just walk in. But and that's how the internet works on your router. So you have like doors that are either closed or open. And UPnP is a very commonly open port on a default router configuration, but it's definitely one that you want off to the outside world, because anybody can pretty much walk in your front door if that is left open on the internet.
That's a good way to put it. Your front door.
Yeah, I think because it is essentially it's called a port, but you know, portal, door, I don't know, but that's when I picture it in my head, that's how I see it. Close the doors behind you.
Like, I have a whole bunch of stuff connected to my router. You know, I've actually I took them all off, like my Roomba, you know, my vacuum cleaner. What do you think about that?
God. Well, yes. Well, they've been shown to be used as recording devices, I believe, and they are again accessible from the outside world. There's nothing is unhackable. You have to look at all technology now as something that can breach your personal environment and your personal information. They can even get in through a blooming light bulb.
Yeah, I heard about that. There was a story about that.
Yes, there was. There's been a few actually.
Wow.
But I mean, there's very smart light bulbs. They can even. There's a story. I mean, it's not an exploitation. It's just a university that do research, and they do some quite obscure research. I can't even say the name. It's a really long, complicated name, so I can't repeat that. But they have done a number of crazy exploitation experiments, but on this particular one they used an ordinary light bulb, a laser, and they were in an office 25 meters away in a separate building, and they managed to record an entire conversation that was in an office with no devices in, just from using the light bulb in the room and the lasers from their office that was in a different building 25 meters away.
What? That's crazy. We got Jason up on the space here. Hey, Jason.
You want to know why they can do
Hey,
that?
Tanya. Hey, everybody. Yeah, and I thought another topic we might be able to bring up is, hey, what do you do if you are breached? Or what happens when somebody steals your identity? We don't have to do it now, but, you know, maybe for a future space. Because I believe, you know, right now in the corporate world, you know, we were all focused for a while on layered security and protect the perimeter. And then all of a sudden in the last year, it's been about incident response. So it's I think it's something that, regular civilians, as I like to call it, because I was military, um, teach. Say, hey, this is what you do in the case, hey, a credit card was cloned, or hey, my identity was stolen, or hey, some weird things going on my PC or Mac. I think that would be a great conversation, because there are avenues you can take to quickly remediate and get your money back, and to protect your credit and to protect your identity. So I think that might be a good
That,
talk in the future.
that's
Yeah, I
wonderful.
think
Yeah,
so too.
and one thing that I unfortunately happened, if you are a victim of a cybercrime and you are an average person, the police, the law enforcement will not help you. That's something very sad, but it's true. When it comes to financial things, Jason said correctly. They are going to fix that probably without many. Uh, I mean, easily. But when it comes to cyber harassment, cyberbullying, they won't help you. The police won't help you. That's sadly the truth.
Yeah, well, funny story. DerbyCon Evolution 3 years ago. I had my debit card cloned somehow, and god dang RFID blocking wallet was a lie and false advertisement apparently. On the flight home, my wife texts me and she's like, "Hey, $30,000 just got siphoned from our account. What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh shoot!" And so very easily, I go onto my mobile app and I block all my cards, and I contact them on a plane through Wi-Fi, and I was able to get the money back before the plane landed. So there are avenues you can take. It's just being diligent and quick.
Yeah, identity theft is a subject matter that I'd love to talk about. I actually, someone was getting. I never get money back from the IRS, but someone took my identity and was getting money back. And they did like 2 or 3 times. It's not like, and every year I have to like get up this code, have to use that, but IRS keeps giving them money, and I never get money
Wow,
back.
that's bullshit.
I think it would be really good to do a space where people actually are able to come and address if they're having issues, because I think there's a lot of people that recognize that something's happening on their device, but they can't identify it because they just don't have the technical know-how to know. But I think we discredit the end user for being the weak link in enterprise situations a lot, and I think actually they're a lot more educated than we give people credit for, but they just don't know how to articulate what it is that they see, or what any unusual behavior. If you've had a device for a period of time and you know how something works, and then something bizarre is happening, then that is normally an indicator that something is wrong. It might not necessarily be that you've been hacked, but something is wrong and needs to be resolved. So we should definitely have like a workshop or something where people can just sort of bring their questions.
There you go. I'm definitely going to do that.
I think that's a great area. And then also, I think, smart remotes are another area. Just the Internet of Things in general, of course, but smart remotes, people are using, speaking to remotes. I think Amazon says they have something like 60 million remotes just in the United States, for, Amazon Fire TV or whatever it is, something like that. Um, and then there's a number of other smart remotes. So if the company is collecting and anonymizing it from a marketing standpoint, that's one thing. But what if
I don't think I did that, but Adam, sorry.
Maybe it was me.
yeah, just be wary of it, and
The apps
it's another
that you
major
download to
topic.
make things, you can download loads of apps for all sorts of things, but particularly remote controls and things like that, and they tend to be a little bit dangerous as well.
like in Zoom that you can allow somebody access, and I always double and triple check. But sometimes, I mean, in the beginning, I didn't realize it, but that stuff was opened.
Yeah, Zoom have worked very hard to secure their platform because obviously they rose to fame very quickly, didn't they? And as a result of COVID, really, and they have worked very hard. I'm not quite sure what their security status is now, but I think it's greatly improved from what it was. You had the Zoom bombing, didn't you, with all the kids like just breaking into the meetings and stuff.
Happened during a work meeting at my last company. Oh my gosh.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I
but
know
they
the kids were
they
doing
did
it
a
at
good
school
job.
and stuff.
They did a good job of locking it down as good as they can. I mean, they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They were a new product, they were fresh, and they were still kind of in their development cycle, and it got popular, and they didn't expect it.
No.
COVID hit and everything, and so I thought they responded appropriately.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of companies face so much change, and people that would never have dreamed of from working from home prior to COVID, obviously finding themselves doing that. And if your company is not protecting you or providing adequate security to connect to the network, then you should consider taking that responsibility yourself, because yes, it is very common that the bad actors might use an individual and their home setting to access their enterprise environment or their work environment. But I think it's also true the other way around now, because many enterprises are breached and don't know it. And, they could be targeting specific individuals, from the enterprise to the home as a result of COVID as well.
Wow. I hope everyone got a lot of tips out of this space. And it's about that time. It's 6:18. I think Alberto did his final word. Samantha did. Did anyone else want to give the final word? I'm going to go ahead and shut down the space. We're all good. And then Alberto, you can open up yours again. I'll be back in there.
No, basically, but Samantha disagree with me. I don't want people to get paranoid. Just be aware of the risk they are exposed to when using the internet, and that education is the most powerful tool to do that. Just that.
Well, I'll be announcing the exact date for Women in Communication, the South Florida chapter Twitter Spaces on cybersecurity. We're going to do it at the end of this month. This is big. We're just kind of like an intro and having a conversation. And full disclosure, I'm the president of Women in Communication, the South Florida chapter. Our national chapter has been around since 1909. My chapter in South Florida has been one of the early adapters to Twitter and social media. So my job as the president is always constantly evolving and bringing new curriculum to our followers and members. So at the end of this month, I'm going to have Samantha, Nick, and Alberto, and I'm hoping that Nana can join us. And if anybody wants to DM me, and if you want to be part of this, just let me know. But we're going to be streaming out. I'm going to bring in some other chapter, the Women Communication chapter, which is we have chapter in almost in every major state. So on that note, I appreciate everyone for popping in, and we are live streaming right now in Women Communications group page on Facebook. It's also on Twitch and YouTube at the time right now. So again, everybody, have a great day and enjoy your Friday. And I'm going to have a big party pretty soon, so stay tuned. I'm going to invite everyone to it and talk to you guys later. Have an awesome day, okay? Appreciate everybody.
Thank you, Sonia. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.